So good morning. I am delighted to join Best in C for some very deliberate conversations around teacher recruitment, in particular recruiting outside of the box. So we know that teachers, they're our backbone or our lifeline of education, and recruiting, selecting, and retaining quality teachers is the most important job that can occur in a school system. The traditional recruitment pathway is still welcome, but there are some non-traditional, innovative methods of recruitment as well. So I want to read just a quick quote for you, and then I'm going to introduce our presenter for today. This is a quote that came off of a flyer in Edgecombe from 2017 when we started our Scholar Teacher program. And it says, "Every child deserves a great teacher, someone who loves them, supports them, and challenges them to fulfill their potential. We have no greater responsibility as a society than to educate our young people." We know that was true years ago, and we know it's still true today. I want to take just a minute to introduce our presenter. Her name is Dr. Lisa Mabe Eads. She currently works for North Carolina Community College System Office as the Associate Vice President of Programs. Dr. Eads joined the Community College System in 2000 as a psychologist and early childhood education faculty member. She has 24 years of experience in the field of higher education and early childhood education. Earlier, we were talking about the fact that she started with childhood education and she's gone through to higher ed. So hats off to her. She's done the foundation work and she's now at the other end. So thank you, Dr. Eads, for joining us this morning, and we look forward to your presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Bridges. I appreciate your introduction and your kind words. And welcome, everyone. We're very excited to spend some time with you this morning to talk to you about recruitment out of the box. And as Dr. Bridges mentioned, I'm with the Community College System Office, and we are engaged in some new opportunities for teacher education, and thought it would be really great to share some of those new opportunities with you, as well as to talk to you all about some other possibilities that could lead to some other recruitment out of the box ideas. So I am trying to advance the slides, and I'm not sure. I know it's got a little bit of a delay, so we'll see. May need a little bit of help.
Zach, can you try one more time, Lisa?
Okay. It says I'm controlling, but I don't see it advancing.
Click, try to click, Lisa. Sorry, everyone. Thank you for having grace with us.
Yes, thank you. I've clicked the arrow and used the mouse and nothing.
All right, we'll just let Zach, if you could just advance for us.
Thank you.
And then Lisa, if you'll just verbally let Zach know when you are ready for the next slide.
Absolutely. So here we go. So we'll begin this morning talking about the need and the opportunity. So we know that our traditional preparation programs do a wonderful job in the state, and we know also that they have not been able to meet the pipeline needs of North Carolina, and not through any shortcomings that the traditional programs have, but certainly there's opportunity there and other folks that have maybe missed out on that recruitment. So populations that we identified as most often left out include students that live in rural communities, individuals of color, individuals from economically disadvantaged backgrounds who may not see a path to teaching. And then sometimes we forget about early recruitment with those high school students or those adult students who are seeking a career pathway change, or who have always wanted to teach and never found a way to get to that goal. So with the community college system, there's an opportunity for us to build on the existing partnerships and resources in North Carolina. And that is one thing I'm very proud to share with you this morning, that the North Carolina Community College System has wonderful partnerships, both with our K-12 partners and with our universities, and the resources and the investment that the state has already placed in our system give us kind of an advantage that we've already reached all 100 counties of the state. We also can expand on the access that's there and increase affordability through our new teacher transfer programs. And very excited to know there's lots of folks doing grow your own models out there. We hope to expand those or develop new grow your own models in rural areas across the state. So again, building on what North Carolina is already doing well and creating some new opportunities that haven't been there previously. Next slide, please. So it's important when framing the conversation around the community college system and the work that we do in the state to start with the founding father of our system, Dr. Dallas Herring, and a really powerful quote that is actually placed right outside our state boardroom is, we must take people from where they are and carry them as far as they can go. And I feel like with teacher education programs, that's also very accurate and very true statement. We think about someone who may want to be a teacher and haven't found a way to reach that goal and follow that dream, that the community college system can be that pathway to becoming that educator. Next slide, please. So I mentioned the community college system that we serve, all 100 counties. We are ready to serve. Again, the investment that North Carolina has already made in the community colleges in this state really put us in the best position to quickly build that teacher pipeline in underserved areas and attract a more diverse teacher candidate pool. And these new transfer programs that have been recently released are designed to be a seamless pathway from community college into that four-year institution that could begin as early as high school. And what's interesting about our new teacher transfer degrees or teacher prep degrees is that they're not aligned with just one licensed area. They're designed to be broad in the sense that our colleges can provide foundational coursework that would align to multiple pathway opportunities with different licensure areas. So again, the flexibility and the broadness of choice, given that some folks begin their transfer pathway with some decisions to be made. So these degrees will allow them to have those decision points and also have a seamless path to transfer. Next slide, please. So how are we thinking when it comes to out-of-the-box recruitment? So I've mentioned that we're building on existing strengths. So one of the primary strengths of our system is that we have existing articulation agreements. So we have a long history of transfer with the public and private institutions in this state and have a very strong pathway when it comes to transfer. However, what we had not had previously is specialized teacher preparation transfer degrees that align specific coursework with those multiple licensure areas. And so in the development of these programs, we identified the need for two separate transfer degrees for teacher prep, one that was aligned more with STEM, that's the associate in science and teacher prep, and one that's more aligned to be more that humanities, liberal arts, perhaps someone who wants to teach English might pursue the associate in arts and teacher prep. So that is very unique to this state. I'm not aware of any other state that has specialized teacher transfer programs, especially that aligns with multiple licensure areas. And when it comes to increasing access and affordability, of course, the community college tuition rates are low in this state. Again, very thankfully, a low-cost option, but something that we're trying to do with these new programs is not just offer low-cost tuition. We'd like to have a low-cost or no-cost career pathway to teaching. So we're thinking about some opportunities, again, with an existing program and also some possible future opportunities for scholarships that would allow someone to come out of their teaching degree with little or no student debt. And then, of course, as you all are very aware in today's times, student debt can often be the decision maker on what program of study a student chooses to pursue. So we want to remove that barrier for those future teachers as well. Next slide, please. Again, building on existing partnerships with our K-12 partners, we do a lot of dual enrollment in the community college system. We have a program called Career and College Promise, and that's a legislated program for eligible high school students to take courses towards a certificate, diploma, or degree while in high school, tuition-free. Part of that program also is cooperative innovative high schools. They're better known as early colleges or middle colleges. And these new teacher degrees have teacher pathways. And so the student can begin this coursework in high school as early as freshman year, depending on what pathway they enter, and start taking these courses tuition-free. Now that certainly could mean that a student gets 1 to 2 years. They could complete their full associate degree while still in high school. Also want to mention when it comes to innovative high schools, there are 132 cooperative innovative high schools in this state. 119 are partnered with a community college. So again, we have a framework of opportunity that already exists, that the state has already invested in, that this program could build upon. We also want to mention the Career Coach program. Again, it's an investment that the state of North Carolina has made to embed community college staff in high schools to help students find that pathway towards their career. And so this teacher recruitment and teacher education, we definitely want to think about how those career coaches could be activated to help students connect with that opportunity to teach as their career. Next slide, please. So I admire my university partners that now have President Hans with them, but when he was with our system, we talked a lot about simplify, align, and accelerate. And that message is as loud and clear when it comes to teacher preparation. So these programs are designed to help students align and accelerate their learning by providing a clear pathway towards teacher education and licensure. So when it comes to simplifying, we've picked specific coursework designed to help prepare students for transfer and enter those licensure programs at senior institutions. When it comes to alignment, we've looked at teacher cadet and teaching as a profession high school coursework and aligned an articulation opportunity within those new degrees. And we built those new degrees from the foundation of our comprehensive articulation agreement, which is a long-standing agreement with both public and private institutions. And we're very glad to say that that's been working well, and these new programs and new articulation opportunities gives us even more possibility to expand on that work. And then lastly, to accelerate, college transfer programs are often offered at day, evening, and online. So when we think about meeting the needs of students, especially working adults, those students need some flexibility when it comes to scheduling. And so that is something our college transfer programs are already doing, and with these new transfer teaching degrees can continue to offer that flexibility. And then again, with Career and College Promise and our cooperative innovative high schools, students can start as early as 9th grade pursuing that career in teaching. And what a great opportunity that our state provides for our students, again, tuition free for those qualified high school students. Next slide, please. So just want to expand a little bit more about partnering with universities. Our community colleges, as I've mentioned, have these solid transfer agreements that already exist. That puts us in a very unique position to be the center of accelerated teacher training and build on the strengths of all sectors, both the community colleges and our universities. And our goal is to have this degree program be an affordable option, attracting individuals with scholarships and other support who may not have chosen teaching as their career track initially. So very, very glad to say that our university partners continue to be essential in the process of licensure. Next slide, please. And then other out-of-the-box recruitment, as you all are likely aware, lateral entry is now gone, and we have the residency license. Our system office is in process of applying to become an EPP for residency for those students who already have a bachelor's degree who are seeking licensure. So what makes us different in that application process is that we are applying as a system, not as one institution. So what our hope is that we will get approval as the EPP as a system, and then colleges who wish to offer the residency license or licenses that we get approval for will complete the state board approval process, just like they would if they were hoping to offer another curriculum program in our state. What that does is it creates a single portal entry for students across the state to access those residency license through a student application and data collection system that will come through our system office. Again, it's different than anything else that we've done in the past. In the past, we have not had an intake process at the system office. All that usually happens at one of the 58 colleges. So again, thinking broad, thinking big, and going bold, this will be another opportunity to reach a different population of individuals in the state and expand what's out there in terms of opportunity for students that want to be teachers. Next slide, please. And then how can we better utilize our CTE programs? Wanted to talk a little bit about recruitment of high school and middle school teachers. So again, just want to emphasize that outreach has to start early. And with Career and College Promise, that again, student enrollment can happen in 9th grade, but the conversation about college should start before that. So thinking about those early grades and middle grade students, to let them know that an opportunity is out there for a tuition-free path to teaching. Again, building on existing partnerships, want to mention here the Federal Perkins program. We do a lot of work with DPI for a lot of things with dual enrollment, but Perkins specifically has an opportunity to leverage our high school to community college CTE articulation agreement. We also have a great opportunity to promote and expand teaching as a profession and teacher cadet programs in high school. Again, getting students interested early, getting them in that pipeline early, and then also expanding career coaches statewide. One limitation that we currently have with the Career Coach program is that it is not in every high school. And again, that's just a limitation of funding, not necessarily a limitation of interest or need. So we would love to see that also expand so that we can not just tap students that are interested early, but let's let them think about there are lots of opportunities to teach, and they're not all in K-6. So we want to get those CTE programs, those hard to staff positions in middle and high schools also specifically recruited into our pipeline. Next slide, please. And then what policy and resources are needed. So I'm going to mention a few things here, and these are suggestions that I have, and certainly be glad to talk through some of these with you. But when I'm thinking about out of the box recruitment, I've mentioned already the expansion of the Career Coach program, which again is another investment from our state. We are in the process of finalizing formal articulation agreements with our public and private universities, so that's essential. There are some education courses in these new programs that need to be in alignment with those agreements, so that is essential. Transfer policies targeting these associate in arts and associate in science teacher prep students. What I mean by that is, are there opportunities for secondary admissions policies that would align or perhaps target transfer students in these new programs and help them make that transition more easily? And then scholarships. Certainly when it comes to this program, I mentioned that we want low cost or no cost for the students that graduate with their four-year degree in teaching who come through these associate transfer programs. So it would be wonderful if there was a way to fund scholarships for students that came through teacher cadet or teaching as a profession courses in high school who entered these associate programs and then later transferred and completed their four-year degree. And it would be really cool if we could have teaching fellows for these AA and ASTP transfer students. Again, thinking differently than anything the state has done previously, it would be a great opportunity and also a great recruitment tool as well. And then policies to address barriers of course alignment. So one thing that's unique to the community college system that I took for granted, because I'm from North Carolina and I just assumed this is happening everywhere, is we have a combined course library, and that combined course library has a common numbering and naming system at all 58 institutions in our system. So that makes it easier for us to align for transfer within our system. Now, what we don't have in the state and what would be great to have is the same type of combined course library for our senior institutions. So common course numbering, also thinking about how when we align for transfer, some of the barriers that come along with transferring for teacher education programs come along with that key assessment. So what assessments are in specific courses at the universities looks different across the state for different programs, and sometimes that is something we need to think about. So just also want to think about that course alignment, not just with the course naming and numbering, but also with the key assessments wherever possible, so that it's a little bit easier for a student to navigate transfer. Okay, so I think that's the last slide that I have, and I'm going to take a breath and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Dr. Eads, thank you so much. That was a wonderful presentation. We're going to get to the questions in just a minute. There are a few questions that are already in the chat, but if you would, during this time, feel free to add additional questions. I'm going to start back at the beginning where I saw questions, but I want to share just a little bit about our Scholar Teacher program that's a part of Edgecombe County. And before doing that, I want to just kind of give a little overlay of all of the things that we do in Edgecombe County to try and recruit teachers and kind of build our pipeline. So of course we have our Scholar Teacher program, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. We have Teach for America, and we have a phenomenal number of Teach for America folks that are throughout our school system, starting with teachers, assistant principals, as well as central office staff. We also have the traditional pathway of teachers, and we are happy to have them and glad that they've chosen that career. We have Participate, which was formerly VIF, and that's a part of our immersion program at Martin Millennium Academy. We have a K-8 immersion school, and Participate helps to support our teachers there. And then we have an organization that we are working with called Profound Gentlemen, and they do a lot of recruiting of diverse African-American males, and that's an area of pride for us and a way for us to recruit. But I do want to share a little bit more about our Scholar Teacher program in Edgecombe. We've created a teacher development initiative through our early college high school. We recruit from all of our Edgecombe County high schools, and it creates a pathway for our high school students to become future teachers in our workforce. This is a 3-year program. They participate in an internship 1 day a week at one of our Edgecombe County public schools with an excellent teacher that serves as their mentor. This year, of course, it's happening virtually. Our Scholar Teachers, they take a series of courses called Cadet 1, 2, 3, and 4 courses with a highly qualified veteran teacher. We know how important it is for their first experience to be someone that's highly qualified, that's excited about the field of education, that has a proven track record, and will take them through the steps to make sure that they can be that same type of teacher. These students are taking rigorous college level courses. They generally complete between 50 to 60 hours of credits at the community college level by the time that they graduate from Edgecombe County. Through this program, these young scholars, they just have an incredible pre-college preparation. So when they are finished their program and they're headed off to the university, we know that they're ready, that they will be excited and able to take those courses that will continue to develop them as teachers. And they have an incredible knowledge of skills and dispositions of how to teach and how to connect with students. They see themselves is Edgecombe County's future, in which they can return to Edgecombe County and work and live and serve. And sometimes when you're in a small community, people go off to college and they just don't come back. But we want our students to go off to college and then see Edgecombe County as a place to work, live, and serve. And so how do we do that? We want to make sure that we are offering them a position once they finish their Scholar Teacher program at the university level. So our hope is that we return 50 Scholar Teachers to our county over the next 10 years. We know that's a big step, but that is our hope, that they will be kind of our future. They will have a lasting impact on our community. These Scholar Teachers, what we call them, they're game changers. I want to share just a few tenets of the Scholar Teacher program so you have a better idea of what's happening. It's a 3-year cohort model. It's available to a diverse group of rising high school juniors with a strong academic achievement and aptitude for leading. 51% of our scholars are scholars of color. 25% of those scholars of color are Latinx. Our program themes in the Scholar Teacher program is around service learning, social justice, and the power of place. They graduate with a high school diploma and a 2-year associate degree. We've partnered with Edgecombe Community College for the completion of their prerequisite courses, and then they go on to a college of education at a partnering university. I am going to take a point of privilege and name out some of those universities where our students are currently attending. North Carolina State University, East Carolina University, Barton College, UNCG, and Wesleyan College, and I didn't say it once, but I've said it twice, East Carolina University. So we provide our scholarship loans for students, these scholar teachers, up to $10,000 per year for 3 years. And this covers about half of their expenses in college. And in turn, we ask that our scholar teachers commit to 3 years of teaching in Edgecombe County Public Schools. Now, we hope that those 3 years will turn to 30 years. So our scholar teacher program, we believe, will build the capacity for Edgecombe County to recruit highly qualified students into the teaching profession. Our job in Edgecombe is to make sure that we support them personally and professionally and employ and retain them in Edgecombe County upon graduation. We believe that our scholar teacher program will really sustain our teacher recruitment pipeline in Edgecombe. We hope that sharing this information, that there are other districts will emulate some of the tenets that we put together. We're excited. We've worked with our community to recruit and to raise money in order to support our scholar teachers. On our call is also our wonderful our early college principal, Matt Smith. And I just want to recognize him. There may be questions that come up in the chat line, and he may be able to help with that. But for now, we're going to turn it back over to Dr. Eads, and I'm going to ask that you put your questions in the chat bar, and I will start taking those questions and present them to her. Thank you for listening today. So we're going to start. I'm going to go back to, I saw the first question around 10:55, and it was, I think it was Laura. So I'm going to read the question. Dr. Eads, her question is, a critical component in ensuring transfer success is quality advising and tracking progress towards degree completion. Can you speak more about how students within the new degrees will be supported once they enroll at the community college?
Yes, thank you for that question, Laura, and that's an awesome question. What's really wonderful about the community college system is that prior to these new degrees, we already had some work in education through our early childhood programs, as well as some EDU courses that were in the comprehensive articulation agreement. So we have master's level education faculty at all 58 institutions in the state who will be taking on the advising role for students that are entering the programs, and they will be, in some cases, co-advisor with university transfer that sometimes, depending on a college, falls in a different house, so to speak. So in some instances, they may have two advisors, one for university transfer, one for teacher education. So very pleased to say that we have qualified advisors both at the faculty level and at the staff level that will be supporting these students.
Great, thank you. Next question. Will your district target certain licensure types as an EPP? For instance, only EC, GC, and K6, or will you offer many licensure types in your first year?
So just to clarify, with the transfer programs, they are not licensure in and of themselves. They pave the way for transfer to a licensure area. So they are designed to be flexible in if a student wants to pursue K6 or middle grades or high school, or even specialized areas like EC or gifted. We certainly want to make sure they have that foundational support and success in those foundational courses, so that when they apply for their licensure at the senior institution, that licensure program, that they are prepared to enter and be successful. So the community college system is not interested in offering a four-year degree. We do want to provide the pathway to that four-year degree. So just want to clarify that. So many licensure types and many opportunities, but certainly an aligned pathway to get there.
Wonderful, thank you. Next question. How much of an NCCC EPP would be available through online delivery?
That's a great question. I appreciate that being asked. So when it comes to our current transfer programs, the Associate in Arts and Associate in Science that these two new teacher degrees were built from, virtually all classes could be offered online. Now, within these new teacher prep degrees, there are 4 education courses. all of which could be offered online. However, 2 of the 4 have field experience. So the coursework might be hybrid, right? So there could be an opportunity for a student to enroll and take the coursework through the internet and then do field placement and supervision with some virtual supervision opportunities if the course was offered online. So I would say most, if not all, could be done online, but to be quite honest, these are brand new programs that were just approved for this fall. And we have 28 of the 58 community colleges already approved and more in the pipeline that are on their way for approval. So each college will determine their schedule locally, but I would say most, if not all, can be done online.
Okay, wonderful, thank you. Are there avenues for students to participate in these programs if they are not in early college programs?
Absolutely, thank you for sharing that question. So we do have the Career and College Promise program, which is not just early college. That program serves all high school students that are eligible. And that's public school, private school, homeschool, and charter school. So when we think about pathway to teaching and from a high school perspective, that's out there and it's beyond and outside of just the early college programs. Now, additionally, the Associate in Arts and Teacher Prep and Associate in Science and Teacher Prep can be offered and will be offered to adult students. So it's not just a high school program. These are traditional degrees in the sense of transfer. So they're designed to be offered to any student who's eligible. So when I say eligible, to be an adult student enrolled in a community college, you have to be 18 years old or a high school graduate. That's kind of our open door admissions policy. Again, giving us that flexibility to have folks begin with us early and pursue that four-year degree. So want to make sure that that's loud and clear as well. It's not just a high school opportunity, but also an adult opportunity.
Okay, wonderful. This is a question kind of out there for anybody, but Dr. Eads will ask you to start with an answer. How do we communicate with LEAs, students, and families about these new opportunities?
Oh goodness, that's a wonderful question, and it's a difficult question, so I'll give it a stab and anybody else jump in here. So the biggest thing that I would say that we've been in conversation with the governor's office and with DPI and other stakeholders to say we need that unified marketing plan, right? So that we're communicating the opportunity across systems to different community groups. It needs to be something that parents are aware of and that adults that are working are aware of. So it would be fabulous to have that unified marketing plan so that folks could get the information when they need it. I know for myself, thinking of myself as a high school student, I may not have taken such an opportunity if somebody hadn't told me about something like this. So we need all the adults who work with our young folks as well as those that work with adults out in the community for career advising to get the information and share it. So word of mouth is probably going to be a strong point of recruitment, but certainly we've been talking about a marketing plan both in our office and with our partners.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Dr. Eads, just wanted to say again, we appreciated your presentation, the information, lots of questions in the chat line. We're about at the point where we've got to wrap up. If we have another minute or so, I'll see if our co-hosts will let us know. If we have that time, that's great. If not, yeah, we'll ask that you look in that chat line and maybe share some responses for questions. Thank you so much.
If you want to take Dr. Bridges for just one more minute, there are two questions in the chat for you specifically, if you want to answer one of those two, and then hopefully you can connect by chat on the other one.
Okay, sounds good. Let's see if I can find one. Let's see. Do you mind speaking more about the African-American male recruitment tactics? Absolutely. So I'll share a little here. So we have quite a few African-American males that have come through our Teach for America program, really innovative, outgoing, and a lot of times what we find is that folks who kind of fit that mold, who are excited about teaching, who kind of go outside of the box, they also have friends who are teachers and who go outside of the box. And so we always, one of our ways that we want to recruit is, you come to our district and who else do you know? And so one of our African-American male teachers well, he was a teacher, he is now moved into principalship, but he is connected with Profound Gentlemen, and he does some work with them, and they are a group out of Charlotte. And what they do is African-American males who are in the teaching profession, they provide the mentors and kind of support systems. And that's inroads for us to be able to recruit for diversity and making sure that our teacher population mimics our community. And so we want to just be, very focused and dedicated to that, to make sure that we support all of our students and make sure that they can kind of see themselves in the classroom as well. And so that's one method that we use.